about 30 minutes ago, I was kind of like, okay, it's mid-afternoon, I'm an early bird. And Jess, who thank you for having me, Jess, and Brock, thanks for the intro. And I had one of your dragon fruit thin sticks. Okay, I'm ready to party! All right, guys, here is our game plan for today. When you're typing, texting, tweeting, TikToking, when you're talking about the Xyngular experience, how persuasive would you say that you are? Does the way that you show up from behind the screen influence the person on the other side to stop their scroll, lean forward, and say those 3 magical words? Tell me more, okay? Now, if you're not sure, good news, because today I'm going to share with you what I learned running a social media agency for over 10 years. We work with some of the world's biggest brands, helping them optimize their persuasion power from behind the screen. And I'm going to share with you our 3-step, road-tested, optimized, incredible formula to help you attract more attention, increase your influence, and sell smarter from your very next message, meeting, or high-stakes moment. So that's our game plan, Xyngular. How's it sound? Good? Okay, before we dive in, if we have not met on the interwebs or the Instagrams or the Insta whatever, my name is Erin King. It's so lovely to meet all of you. But I really think the fastest way to get to know someone well is not the companies they started or the companies that have hired them, but the company that they keep. So Xyngular family, if you don't mind, please meet the 3 people that have had the biggest influence on my life, that give me my vibe, they're my why, they're my energy. Starting respectfully at the very top of our household, please meet the one and only Miss Betty White. Miss Betty White. Oh, do we have any fur parents in the audience? All right, well, not to get political, this is very polarizing, okay? Do dogs belong in bed with humans, yes or no?
Yes!
Correct answer. Should dogs be forced to dress in Halloween costumes with their humans?
Yes!
Okay, all right. Everyone knows a WWF wrestler needs a referee, okay? Now raise your hand if you said no. Who said no, don't make them wear the... Right, because you feel sorry for them, don't you? You do. Look, don't even worry about it. She loves it. Look, she freaking... She loves it! Come on! Now please meet the person who thinks of the head of our household. Okay, this is my husband, Mr. Hartman King. So Hartman is actually his middle name. He goes by it as his first name. It sounds like a last name. The whole thing's very confusing. I'm 12 years in. Still don't really know what's going on, but I do know that in the right light, he kind of gives off like these busted Bradley Cooper vibes, which I'm like very here for. So finally, I'd love to meet the person who has had the biggest influence on my life. Xyngular fam, please meet the one and only Nana. Aww. Thank you. You guys, she just turned 91 2 days ago. I know! She is spicier than ever. Oh my gosh. I gotta send her one of those trim sticks. Tell you what, that'll keep her going till 100. But so she came over on a boat from Ireland when she was very young, and she's the matriarch of our family. So I'm one of 36 first cousins. Wow. Irish Catholics, making more Irish Catholics. If anyone here is like a big family person, you know there's like no drama at Christmas or ever, right? Everyone's in each other's business. Anyway, so Nana would always tell us growing up, she'd be like, listen, when your grandfather and I came over from Ireland, we were poor Irish immigrants, we didn't have much, but we did have what we called the gift of gab. And the gift of gab is what the Irish call that way of showing up, that way of communicating who you are, your story, your offer, your why, your ask, in a way the world can't help but just lean forward and say, yeah, tell me more, I'm in. So the gift of gab was what Nana was always preaching. She didn't care if we were good at sports. She didn't care if we got good grades. She liked that we knew language because she knew that your words had the power to shape our world. And so Nana and I were obsessed with this television show, and for the leadership crew that was in here earlier, this is the only repeat you're going to hear from this morning, the only one, so bear with me the embarrassment one more time. But there was a television show that we loved to watch together after school. It was a show from the 90s called Saved by the Bell, if anyone remembers that show by chance. Okay. So obviously Nana was Miss Gift of Gab, so she loved smooth talking Zach Morris, right? My favorite character was the bossy, brainy feminist, Jessie Spano, who happened to have a super sweet 90s perm right here on the right, if you'll see it. So my hair originally in the 90s was stick straight, but I knew in order to be like my idol, Jessie Spano, I needed to have the said sweet 90s perm, right? So my mom and I fought over this perm for months because she was like, listen, you don't get very good grades in school, all right, let's be honest. And I don't think we need perm chemicals that close to your brain cells, okay? I think we should just minimize the risks where we can, okay? So this perm was not happening on Helen's watch. So Nana and I gang up on her, and we persuade her to agree to a compromise. I would not let her perm the hair on my head. It could stay stick straight on both sides of my face. But Xyngular family, I would be allowed to perm just my bangs. Oh my God. Thank you. Yeah. This happened, you guys. Okay.
That's so sexy.
Let's break it down. Obviously, the hair is viscerally upsetting on multiple levels. Okay. Some people suggested that I was the original inspiration behind the movie Joe Dirt, so we have that, so we are killing it. So what Brock did not say in my intro is I'm also the inventor of the perm mullet, okay? Part perm, part mullet coming together, okay? And what my perm mullet taught me, Xyngular family, is that this is the danger of doing anything in life only halfway, okay? You gotta go full perm all the way. But the reality is this perm mullet also kind of represents that space that sometimes we find ourselves in between yes and no. It's when we're talking about the Xyngular opportunity, about the incredible products, about how they've changed your life, about who you are. And you don't get no, but you don't get yes. But we all know that no answer is still an answer, isn't it? And so when you're in this kind of awkward perm mullet purgatory, right? We want to move them all the way to full perm. We want to move them to yes. We want to use Nana's gift of gab, online, offline, and all the time. So before we can talk about yes, let's go over here and just break down why we get no to begin with. Okay? Now, a lot of people that teach digital marketing, social selling, social media, sales, leadership, they think that the reason that we get no is because our attention spans are so small. They're smaller than goldfish. They're smaller than the gnat on the goldfish. They're smaller than the bit on the gnat on the goldfish. There's no attention spans. But you guys, 15 million people watched the entire season 2 of Stranger Things in a mere 28 hours. Yellowstone, Bridgerton. Okay, we don't necessarily have short attention spans. We kind of do, but it's really because our attention spans have gotten shorter. So have our decision spans. So have the way that we make decisions. There was a study that came out a couple weeks ago from Cornell University, and it found that we make, get this you guys, 35,000 decisions a day. Our poor little baby brains are making 35,000. Our brain is like a nightclub, okay? It's a nightclub, and there is a line around the block, and your little brain is like the bouncer, right? Who's in, who's on the list, who's getting in, who's out. It's a hot club, and not everyone can fit, right? I mean, if you think about it, right? You get an email, for example, and you see those first 10 words of the email. It's called the email preview. And when you see those first 10 words, you get those all day long. So your brain, the bouncer, is like, am I going to open it? Am I not going to open it? Am I going to read it? Am I not going to read it? Am I going to respond? Am I not going to respond? Am I going to respond later? Friends, those 7 decisions in less than 10 seconds. The constant decision making means that we just have a lot shorter decision spans. And talk about social media. Think of how you scroll through your news feed. Ideally, we're not doing it first thing in the morning with our one eye open on the pillow when we know we should be doing prayers and reaching for our people and going for a walk and breathing. But like, what if someone liked our post, right? So we're fighting the good fight, but it's hard. The world's smartest engineers engineered this to be as addictive as drugs and alcohol. Like, we're doing our best, but it's a tough fight out there, right? And so when you think about this shorter decision span, when you're on social media and you're scrolling through, if they're like your friends, they're your friends from high school, they're your girls, they're your neighbors, they're your golf buddies, they're your kids, if you know them and they are a friend and you love them, you're like, oh yeah, Lord, heart, love. But if they are someone who's like a semi-stranger, either you're a prospect for them or they're a prospect for you. If you're kind of in that stranger danger zone, when you're scrolling through, our bouncer brains are a little judgier. We're a little judgier. Like, we're scrolling through and all of a sudden we see this guy, right? We see Brachiosaurus Bob, okay? He's picked the winning team again. He's a vegan who volunteers. He's always #blessed, right? And we love that for you, Bob, but for me, it's a no. Okay. Or we see this guy, right? Always on vacation, Vicky. She's in Italy again. She's eating all the pizza, all the gelato, all the wine, but she's walking so much, she's like losing weight, right? Like, who was paying for this vacation, Vic? That's a no from me. Or maybe we have one of my personal favorites, Perfect Mom Pam. Don't get spicy with me. Perfect Mom Pam. Perfect Mom Pam has 97 children, but somehow everything in her house is like white, right? Just white. So no for me, Pam. Okay, maybe you have just went to the gym, right? This guy hates shirts, but he loves a good bathroom mirror selfie. That one I kind of stay on. I'll give that one a like. But, hey. Come on, Jim. He's out there. He's planking. Okay. And then we have Deb. Deb. You haven't heard from her forever. When you open it, it is that multi-scroller great wall of text. Right? Deb. Now here's the thing. Look, if these are our friends, we are like, yay, love it, go you. But if we're not sure, if we're in that purgatory and they're like not a friend, not a stranger, we're trying to move people from strangers to friends. And so when people show up like this is not to be unkind. They're not bad people. I'll be honest, I've been a DM Deb once or twice in my day. We've all, you're excited, you got something to make happen, sure, right? But the reality is, they're not bad people. It's actually science why people show up like this online. Psychologists call it the online disinhibition effect. Okay, that's a long phrase. We're gonna call it the ODE mode for short, okay? What the ODE mode tells us, what it explains, is that we are actually 34 times more persuasive face-to-face at an event like XyngFling than we are when we're behind screens. We are 34 times more likely to get someone to say, tell me more about the dragon fruit thin sticks that are gonna get you flying in 30 minutes, right? Tell me more about the team. Tell me more. We're a lot better in person, face-to-face, or on video, face-to-face, Zoom, FaceTime, than we are when we are typing, texting, tweeting, TikToking, DMing, all the things that we still, to this day, do. So that's a Grand Canyon size gap, my friends, between very persuasive real-life you and challenging to be persuasive online you. So let's break it down so we can close this gap between online you and offline you. Close it and amp up your persuasion power to get more yes. Okay. 40% of the time, when you are in a situation like this, when you're at XyngFling, 40% of the time, you talk about yourself, right? Picture a tennis match, okay? Like Annie from Bridesmaids playing Helen, okay? They're hitting the ball back and forth. How are you? How have you been? What's going on? How's your spring? We're like normal human beings. We toss the conversation ball back and forth. But now imagine that tennis net goes and it blocks. It blocks our empathy. It blocks our body language. It blocks all the cues that we use to know how to have a rich, fulfilling dialogue. And then the number of times that we're talking about ourselves actually doubles. 80% of the time, people talk about themselves when that screen comes up, that ODE mode kicks in. It blocks our persuasion power. So it's not our fault, it's just science. That we are essentially, whenever we get one of these things out, we are essentially communicating like we're in selfie mode. Okay. Everyone loves a good selfie. I love a good selfie. I hope we get one later. No one's judging a good selfie unless you're using one of these, in which case we are all judging, okay? Oh, there's one. I see a selfie stick. Okay. So, but here's what we're gonna do. Just to prove a point, okay, what we're gonna do is we are gonna bring the house lights up, okay? We're gonna put a little jam on, and I want you to grab a buddy that you haven't seen for a minute and take your absolute best selfie, and then when you're finished, hold your phone up, sit back down, and we're gonna go to the next step of this so you can understand how to fix this. Sound good? Okay, house lights are coming up, jam's on, grab a friend or just yourself, and 3 back down. Great work, friends. Good enthusiasm. Beautiful selfies. Now, here's my question. I have a question, Xyngular. Here's my question, friends. Would you rather spend the next 3 minutes doing one of 2 things? One, we can all sit here and look at these random dudes in front of the Eiffel Tower and their selfie stick. Or, we can take a minute and look and see how we look in our selfie, huh? Which one, A or B?
B.
B. Why is that? It's because we usually say yes to ourselves. When we are in focus, when it's about us, when it affects us, when it has to do with us, we can't help but say, yeah, go on, tell me more, because the truth that we all know to be true, friends, is that real persuasion, influence, drawing people in, attracting new business, being more magnetic to strangers on the internet, the truth that we all know to be true is that persuasion is personal. Persuasion is so personal. And if you want to close that Grand Canyon-sized gap between online you and offline you, there is a very simple switch that you can make to the way that you talk about your Xyngular business all the time, and it is this. All you have to do is type more like you talk. Type more like you talk. You defeat the ode mode, because most people don't even know. They don't even know that the ode mode is around their brains, lowering their persuasion power, but you do. So you want to type more like you talk. You want to show up more like the person that you are, the person that you do when you're on a team call or a Zoom or a FaceTime. You know, once you get that stranger to give you a shot, game over. It's just getting that shot at bat that is blocking you from everything you have on your vision board from January, from every goal you've written down year over year, from every moment where you're like, 2025 is the year I thrive, or whatever your word is. So you show about you visually. Yeah, it's social media, of course. It's your account. You're not gonna go around your prospects' houses and be like putting their picture on your social media. Of course it's you and your story and your world, and we want to hear it. But you show about you visually, you type about them verbally. Now this sounds pretty simple, right? I mean, flip the focus of your language. How hard can that be? But people also say, oh yeah, you wanna be fit? You just like sweat and eat vegetables. Like super easy, right? I mean, we all know common sense does not equal common practice. This is where my pub method is going to change your life. It has changed mine. Cannot wait to share it. Okay. It's called the pub method, by the way, because you're putting the pub in publish. Now, Nana used to always say that she loved an Irish pub because in an Irish pub, she'd say there are no strangers. They are only friends you haven't met yet. And the internet can be your Irish pub. You know, masa menos, whether you partake or don't. Just the analogy is that this can be a space where strangers can become friends. So I ran a company for 10 years. We optimized over 30,000 social media posts, emails, DMs. I was in a pay per performance model for my agency, so if we did not deliver for these big brands like Visa and Johnson & Johnson and the United States Navy and Hitachi, it wasn't like, oh, we'll do better. It was like, you don't get paid. So we were very motivated to figure out exactly how to systemize this versus that one post here and there that gets tons of engagement, but then the next 10, it's like crickets, and you're like, what did I do there? This is that engineering with intention on purpose, more persuasive communication about your business, and the pub method is gonna help you do it. Okay, now as you guys can tell, I'm very passionate about this, or it's the trim stick. So I talk quickly. If you wanna just be able to sort of be present and be where your feet are and really just take it in, what you can do is I'm gonna send you everything you need for later So you can just be present and relax and not be scribbling and trying to keep up with trim stick pace speaking. So here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna text the phrase more yes, no spaces, this is really important, and preferably all capitalization for an email or a DM or a text that we discovered in 10 years of doing social media, okay? The third thing you're gonna get, and this is juicy, my friends, this is juicy. Third thing you're gonna get is my ultimate chat, your hands on this. It is Pub GPT. So I know, cool, right? I know. So you'll click on it and it will be using the pub method with you using Chat GPT to help you guys, to do what we learned today. It's cool, yeah. But you still have to pay attention because AI is a buddy. It is not, you are the pilot, it is a brainstorming buddy. I was trying to use it this morning, like messing around with it, so it's not perfect. You might see a couple things like, that's not what she said. It's brand new, we're tweaking it, give us grace. You're the first ones to try it out. DM me, by the way, on Instagram with what you're seeing. But the truth is, with anything with AI, right? I mean, we can't compete with computers on competency, but the truth is, we can compete with our empathy, our creativity, our intuition, our adaptability. These are energy-rich skills that AI will never be able to replace. So as you use this plugin, keep in mind that it still needs you, right? Persuasion is not AI, persuasion is you. People are buying your human energy, okay? All right, everyone has it dialed good? Yeah, any more time? Okay, ready to do some work? All right. We're watching a 1-minute video clip right now from my favorite movie of the early 2000s. A little movie about a rock and roll band that starred Kate Hudson and Russell Crowe. It's a little movie called Almost Famous. And this 1-minute clip is going to show you exactly how this pub method is going to change your business. You guys ready? All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm William Miller, and I'm here from Cream Magazine to interview Black Sabbath.
Not on the list.
Hi! I'm a journalist. I write for Cream Magazine.
Oh, The Enemy, a rock writer.
Right, well, I'd like to interview you or somebody from your band. Russell, Jeff, Ed, Larry. I really love your band. I think the song Fever Dog is a big step forward for you guys. And you guys producing it yourselves instead of Glenn Johns. That was the right thing to do. And Russell, the guitar sound is incendiary. Incendiary. Way to go.
Well, hey, man, don't stop there.
I'm incendiary too, man.
Come on.
All right. So this is an example of not getting in the door and then getting in the door, right? This is exactly what we're trying to do, is turn strangers who are saying heck no, slamming the digital door in your face to a, well, hey man, I'm incendiary too, get in here, bud. This is the difference. And so let's break this down. So the reason that William Miller, the journalist, did not get in the door is because he went up there and said, hi, I'm a journalist, I'm from Cream Magazine, I want to interview you, Who's in focus with that language? I. William Miller is in focus, not the band that he wants to get a yes from. So every single time that you are kicking off your pitch, your communication with I-bombs, I'm so excited, I was hoping to, here's what the bouncer brain on the other side of the screen is seeing. Selfies. Yep. Selfie, and they're not seeing themselves. The bouncer brain is like, nope, not me, I'm not in charge, and then the door is unfairly slammed in our face. We don't get a shot at that, and everything we're trying to accomplish comes to a screeching halt. So this is where the pub method can help you break through the ode mode. Now I'm gonna talk quickly, but don't freak out. We're gonna fly over it fast, but you have everything in those links that you were just texted and emailed, so just stay along for the ride. Okay, step one. Before you do anything talking about the Xyngular business, I want you to ask yourself, am I opening with something that is truly personal to my audience? Now, if you look at the difference, after he had the door slammed in his face, what did he do? He took the selfie from, I'm the journalist, I want this, he flipped it around, the selfie, and he changed his language. He said, Russell, Jeff, Ed, Larry, bouncer brain's like, that's me, go on, right? Love your band, your song Fever Dog, big step for you guys, you producing it, right thing for you to do, you. So if you think about how you look at like an inbox, let's say like you are the one that someone's trying to sell. Look at your inbox, and you see a landmine of I hopes, I wanted to, Now, when I started my company 12 years ago, we had no clients, we had no one that wanted to give us any money. I was just a random stranger on the internet. And I had a prospect that I really wanted to sell. And so this, in the top right, is what I texted her. It looks like you're a fellow dog mom. Loved your, and then it's that ... the ellipses. That 10-word power of the preview. The bouncer brain in you, looking at these options, your bouncer brain is like, no. Ooh, This is the magical phrase, my friends. It looks like you. If your brain sees it looks like you, your bouncer brain goes from like, not on the list, not to like, go on. It looks like you what? Now, if you don't know what to say from there, because you're like, well, what do I say after that? Great question, friends. Research is the new listening. Research is the new listening. Okay, we are talking about just publicly available information on someone's social media profile or a Google search or an AI search. Here's what you do. You begin with something, if this is a one-to-one interaction, one-to-one, mano-a-mano, you begin with something that is genuine and specific. Genuine and specific, not fake and vague. Because fake and vague, well, that releases cortisol. But genuine and specific, that's where you get the dopamine going, okay? This can be a compliment, something you have in common, a comment. I'll show you some examples in a second. But here's the thing, it has to be genuine. Because people all the time try to sell me stuff, right? And they'll be like, Erin, I loved your book. And I'm like, oh my God, thanks so much, which part? And they're like, duh, you didn't really read it. Right? So it has to be real, okay? So that's one-to-one. But what if you're creating a message to someone that's one-to-many? So social selling, one-to-one, but social marketing is one-to-many, right? That's your bigger net. So what do you do with that? Please meet Amanda. Amanda is one of my dearest girlfriends. I've known her for years. She has 4 kids. She was working in corporate America, and her sweet mom had a little bit of a health scare. And so she realized, hey, I can't keep doing corporate America, 4 kids, and now mom's moving back in. Got a lot on my plate. So she found this network marketing company. Perfect. Dove in, and she called me one day. She's like, Erin, I am not making any traction in my business. No one's saying yes. I said, well, send me what you're sending out there. What are you putting out there? So she gave me a little sample of her post. Now, nothing is wrong with this post, but it just wasn't working for her. Now tell me if you've seen something remotely like this anywhere on the internet in the network marketing universe. Okay, I decided to walk away from my corporate career, health and wellness company, didn't know what I was doing, changing my life, opportunity, family time, flexibility, financial freedom. Does any of this look familiar to anyone? Yes or no? And nothing wrong with this post. This post is fine. It got 19 likes and there's nothing wrong with that. However, if you're looking in your social media newsfeed, think of yourself on the other side of the screen, right? The ode mode, and your bouncer brain, guess what your bouncer brain just sees? A landmine of I bombs and my bombs. This is telegraphing to the person's brain, it's not about me, it's about them, and unless we love them and we're cheering them on, we don't really care, okay? So now here are the 5 key phrases. These are the magical phrases, and it's in your notes if you don't want to write it down, but it's in your notes. This is a very simple way that from that power of the preview, those first 10 words, you can flip around the focus of what you are putting out there so other people's bouncer brains say, oh, actually, you might be on the list, so you're stopping the scroll, okay? Here's what Amanda said. Have you ever thought you had life perfectly planned out, but then something unexpected threw you way off your path? Now, can you see the difference between I had to quit my corporate job because and have you ever thought you had life planned out and something threw you off your path? Has it ever happened to anyone in this room? Of course. Second step, personal, useful. Now, we think we're being useful like William Miller when he says, look, I'm a journalist for Cream Magazine. It's like, duh, right? We can see that. The same thing goes for our friends online. Always on vacation, Vicky just went to the gym, Perfect Mom Pam, and Brachiosaurus Bob. When they are out there and they're like, here I am, crunching it out again. Here I am in Italy. Here I am being a perfect mom. You're like, duh. We can see that from the image, and I don't really, unless you're our good friend, we don't really care. Okay, we don't care. Because you're a stranger, you're not on the list. Now, the difference here, what's really useful, when you're posting something, can you guys see behind me right here? Okay. I'll stand right here, so now I'm blocking you guys. Okay, let's sit down. Okay, I want to make sure you guys can read this. All right, the difference here is what can't they see from the image alone? What they can't see from the image alone are your non-Googleables. This is your story, your hacks, recommendations, ideas. For example, let's say always on vacation, Vicky, it's just like, here I am in Italy getting skinny, eating pasta, and you're like, no, right? But, what if there's something we can't see from the image? What if Vicky, she had a little bit of some heartbreak or a health scare, and she decided to go back to Italy because that's where her grandmother's from. And she wanted to get grounded and learn more about her roots and who she really is at her essence. Now do we care about always on vacation Vicky? Of course we do, right? We're like, get that pasta, girl, you deserve to lose a few pounds. Like, bless your heart, right? Like, we love her. Just went to the gym with his 17-pack, right? I mean, we don't really care about him, but what if he is showing this, but his language, show about you, type about them, his language is non-Googleable. It's like, you know what? I actually was really overweight growing up, and I had a really hard time getting up at 5 a.m., but I found this great hack, where if I sleep in my gym clothes and put my sneakers to the side of my bed, when that alarm goes off, you know what? I literally get out of bed, put my shoes on, I'm in the car heading to Lifetime Fitness before I even know what's going on, and I've lost 50 pounds. Now do we love just went to the gym? Yes! Perfect Mom Pam. Maybe her mom was never around because she was like a finance executive and she had a terrible relationship. So she's like, you know what? Yeah, we do dance parties in the living room because I never got to do it with my mom. Now we love Perfect Mom Pam, right? We need to make sure we're being useful. Your posts and your communication and how you're showing up online and offline is leaving potential team members and customers exhausted or energized. It is that simple. Be the one that leaves them energized. Now, in the case of William Miller, his useful moment was when he used that juicy adjective to describe Russell's music. What was the adjective? Incendiary. It was so juicy you remembered it. Designed to cause fire. He turned around and he's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, designed to cause fire, tell me more, right? Juicy adjective, little ego boost where he goes in there to rock out in front of an audience. That is useful. For me, when I reached out to that random prospect when I was starting my company and I had no money and no clients, the second thing I wrote to this gal was, well, actually, let me tee it up. What I wrote to her, she's an event planner for a very large event, and it's a very long event, a boring long event. And so when I reached out to her, and like, oh, you're a fellow dog mom, you're huskies, whatever, personal. Useful, I'm like, I'm just gonna give her an idea, okay? Because this is a long televised event. What if you streamed backstage cameras to a little app? Because we're all on our phones and watching TV, we're doing second screen. I don't care if it's Yellowstone or Stranger Things or Bridgerton, we're doing both, right? What if you stream backstage cameras to an app that showed unscripted interactions between like the VIPs to give us a little reality show elements, all this perfect, polished, long form thing. Just a little idea I had, throwing it out there. Just something useful. Maybe you take it, maybe you leave it. That's one-to-one. One-to-many, let's go back to Amanda. Amanda, I'll make sure you guys can read this. Amanda wrote, imagine, okay, back it up. Amanda and her mom, I think we can all agree, are darling. Like, they're so cute. But she's not just like, look at me and my cute mom, the end. No, we're cute, But listen, imagine you're crushing your corporate career when suddenly you need more flexibility because you need to care for your mom. That's where I found myself 1 year ago. So yes, she's using I, but now she's earned the right to say I because she's brought us into her story. We're seeing ourselves in her story, so now we do care. So when she says I, we're like, you know what? Tell me more. Okay, Amanda, what else happened? We've earned her empathy. Make sense so far? All right, finally, brief. Now, let's be honest. Most of us in this room, I think we can agree, we're big personalities, we're go-getters, okay, we're in sales, we're entrepreneurs. Like, for most of us, brief is just not our jam, and we're not sorry, okay? We're chatters, we're storytellers, we're big personalities. I am not brief. When I first met my now husband, we were just dating, and I knew that I had to lock him down ASAP because he was like this tall drink of water with these big man legs, and I was like, call me. I was. So anyway, he's from the South. He's from Alabama. He's a fancy kind of redneck, but I love him. Anyway, so we're at this. I'm meeting my future in-laws. They don't know it yet, but I do. We're at this big long table, and I'm telling this story, and I'm thinking like, I'm a professional speaker. I'm such a good storyteller, but I'm going on too long because that's what I do. So I see my husband in the background at this table, the first time meeting all these future in-laws, the aunts, the cousins, and he's going like this. He's like, and I'm like, I don't understand. I'm just getting to the good part. He's like, right? And so my mother-in-law sees what he's doing, catches his eye. Mrs. Charlotte Macaulay King of the Birmingham Kings. She catches his eye and she just stops me. She goes, stop. She goes, bless your heart, darling. He is telling you to land the plane. Land the plane. Bring it home. You're losing us. Okay. Deb does not land the plane. Okay. We gotta land the plane. We have to land the plane. Deb does not land the plane. Okay. So when we're saying things like this, let me know when will be a good time. Just following up, touching base. Do not touch people's bases. Okay. Don't do it. Not without consent. Okay. So we want to make it brief. If you don't know how to land the plane, as my mother-in-law Charlotte King says, it's very simple. Our brains are wired to be unable to resist an A or a B. Do not ask them an open-ended question. Do not say, how was your weekend? Or when would be a good time? It's too much work for our bouncer brains. We're like, I'm not doing the work. I have the club. You do the work. Not on the list. We have to make it easy. When you're doing social media posts and you say, what was your best thing? Or how was this? You think you're inviting all these responses? No. You wanna know why? Because no one wants to have a response that's not as good as somebody else's. How was your weekend? Mine was amazing. I got 5 p.m. DoorDash and I was asleep with Betty White by 8 o'clock after watching White Lotus and being totally freaked out by the finale. And it was amazing, right? That's my idea of a perfect weekend. Someone else is like, oh, Vicky from Italy, right, is like, oh, you wouldn't believe Rome this time of year, right? Like, we don't want to have a less cool answer, so we don't answer at all. The secret to engagement is A or B, my friends. This date or this date, this opinion or this opinion, this product or this, yes or freaking yes. And look what happens when you make it irresistible for them, their bouncer brain, to open the door and let you in.
I'm gonna sit here too, man. Come on.
And you're in. You're in the door. That's how it works, okay? That is how it works. So for my one-to-one prospects that I've been trying to get, so I said, you're a fellow dog mom, personal, useful, little idea, and then brief, A or B. You want to meet Tuesday or Thursday. Now for Amanda, her brief of her one-to-many post was, if life has thrown you a curveball lately, which are you choosing to embrace? Faith or fear? Faith or fear? Faith or fear, XyngFling! Faith or fear? Yeah, faith. Okay, so here's the difference. A little before and after for you. Now look, I recognize, this is her original post, okay? I recognize that Instagram reach It has to be the right time of day with the right keyword and the right hashtag, and Mercury's in retrograde, and it's just, it is art, it's science, no one knows what it is, right? All of that said though, okay, same exact photo, but a personal, useful, brief caption where we flipped the focus, typed twice as much about our audience as ourselves, broke through the ode mode, closed that online-offline gap, and made sure the bouncer brain and people on the other side could see themselves in her story. I want you to look at the difference in the yes that Amanda garnered on Instagram. 10 times the yes. 10 times the yes with the exact same image. So friends, it's not your videos or your photos that aren't hitting, it's the caption, it's the language, it's making it personal and useful and brief. All three, every time, because friends, you have seen what happens when we do anything halfway, okay? We gotta go full perm. Okay, so you guys in for full perm?
Yeah.
All right, if you're in for full perm, prove it. I have a little dare for you. Here's my dare. Okay, if you take the selfie that you took earlier, okay, or if you're like Erin, I hate selfies, millennials, ugh, whatever, then you can upload anything from this presentation, my slides, anything from stage, upload anything from our experience today. Tag me on Instagram, because our Facebook just got hacked, I'm not on Facebook anymore, but Instagram, mrs.erin.king. And I want you just to practice the first step of this method. This is the first step. Just practice. Have you ever been at an event and just had your mind completely blown? Imagine that you were gonna skip something because of all the reasons, but then you realize you're so glad you got to see so-and-so. So there you are, on the fence, like whatever your experience has been so far at XyngFling, just go ahead and upload anything on Instagram, tag me, mrs.erin.king on Instagram, practice just that first personal, just to get your brain to break through that ode mode that makes you want to inherently, scientifically go, I'm here in Orange County and you're not, right? Because that's what, it's not our fault, it's science, but we now know better. We know better, we can do better. So if you do this, you guys, 7 p.m. PST tonight, I'm going to award 5 of you, 5, free access to my $500 course called the Social Media Spa. It's good, you guys. It's this, but and you can use it with your teams. There's workbooks, you can listen to it, you can watch it. It's about clarifying, detoxing, and refreshing your messaging. 5 of you can get it for free, and just tag me. It'll be announced at 7 p.m., so you have 3 hours to upload anything you want. Okay, good so far? All right. Now, speaking of selfies, when I said upload your selfie, 3 people over here went like this because some people hate selfies, and I get that. Because you're right, they aren't persuasive unless we use the right language. I agree with you, sir. So here's the deal. We think that selfies are silly. We think that selfies are very silly. But what if I told you that one selfie actually changed the course of my entire life, okay? See, originally, up until recently, Chris Brown slapping Will Smith, thank you. Will Smith slapping Chris Brown in the face. What's his name? Oh, they're both, who hit who? Will hit Chris Rock. Thank you, ma'am. Up until that moment, before that moment, you really botched that. Okay, before that, this was the most famous moment from the Oscars. Does anyone remember when this broke the internet by chance? It was like 10 years ago. Okay, some people. So what you don't know about this selfie is that just 6 months before this was taken, I was sitting at my kitchen table, had my head on this old cold wood kitchen table, and I was crying my eyes out. I couldn't pay a $100 cell phone bill. Let me just back this up. I don't know what your money story is from childhood. I'm the granddaughter of immigrants. We had very high expectations of what we were supposed to make happen because of what our grandparents went through. Now maybe in your house, your money story, if energy is money and money is energy. The soundtrack in our house, we had a lot of love, thank God, a lot of love. We didn't go hungry, but when it came to money, there was a scarcity soundtrack that was playing. This is not poor me, we had a great childhood, but whenever money came up, the fun stopped, the poems stopped, the singing stopped, the music stopped, the vibe changed. And I don't know if any of you grew up in a household like that where you could just feel it in your body, like they're not happy, things are not okay. And so it wasn't anything crazy, it was just, I remember feeling that switch. And so as I grew up, I was like, okay, I want to be the first woman in my family to create my own wealth. Like, my mom always had to ask my dad for money, my grandmother, I mean, my entire life, there's been not one woman in my family that's ever had agency over her own finances. And what a beautiful time to be alive, to take advantage of that and stand on the shoulders of giants and try to shoot for the stars. So I was trying to be an entrepreneur. I tried once, I had a website company when I was 25. In 18 months, I was in $70,000 of credit card debt, trying to get cash advances to pay my employees, disaster. Had to close it down, go back to corporate, worked for 3 years digging out of that debt. Second time, I raised 7 figures of capital from a group of guys not too far from here in Newport Beach for a subscription service for women's monthly health care needs. And within 2 years, the whole thing went bust. We had someone from Asia bought the 3-letter URL. It was worth more, the valuation, whatever. Point being, lost again. And I was at my 3rd at bat. And it was my 3rd and final at bat. At this point, my credit cards are maxed out. I had no runway, but I did have a dream in my heart. And when you have that whisper and that tug in your heart, you do have to go for it. You don't have any other choice because it won't leave you alone. What is possible? What was I put here to do? Am I one of those people that can do those things? And so I was running social media from my kitchen table, this little client with huge expectations, no budget, working, trying, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. You ever have that where you're just working and going, but you have a certain little moment that stops you in your tracks, and you zoom out to that 30,000 foot view, and you're just like, what am I doing? This dream is in me, but is it really for me? And it's really easy for us to hear all the stories, right? It's the moment in every Oscar-winning movie where it's darkest before the dawn, and the hero gets back up one last time, and that's when they achieve their breakthrough. It sounds very glamorous. But when you're at that actual intersection, and there's a fiscal heaviness breathing down your neck, it is a lot easier said than done to just keep going. So in that intersection, we have 2 choices. Do we fail fast, admit defeat, and move on? Or do we hang in there for that Oscar-winning breakthrough moment? And I did not know which one was for me when I could not pay that $100 cell phone bill. And so I did what I think we should all do when we're at a crossroads like this. I went to shower church. Anyone else go to shower church? Get the best ideas in the shower ever? Okay. Exfoliations equal epiphanies. That's just science. Okay. So I'm in there, and all of a sudden, Nana's voice comes in my mind, and she used to always say, the stars will align. Stars will align. And so I don't know what your mantra is when you are stuck and you are frustrated and you're losing momentum. Maybe yours is faith over fear. Maybe it's progress over perfection. Maybe it's pressures of privilege. You know, what is your mantra when you don't feel ready to keep going? Mine was the stars will align. Getting rejected, stars will align. Can't pay the bills, stars will align. This isn't for you, stars will align. Inner Regina George, mean girl, limiting beliefs, stars will align. So I sent that message that I showed you guys to this gal on the internet about the dogs and the idea and Tuesday or Thursday. And I sent tons of messages like that every single day because we knock on digital doors because we're salespeople. And most of the time, it's a per mullet and I don't get the yes. But this one time, this gal said, sure, meet me on Tuesday in LA, not too far from where we are right now. That one message turned into a meeting, which turned into a moment, which led to this gal hiring my company, AKA just me, over all these huge agencies that were in New York and LA and London. And we were hired to run social media for the world's largest entertainment event, the Oscars, which is crazy. So we get there, right? We're at the Oscars. I hired all my friends. We're working like crazy. We don't really know what we're doing, but the stars will align, right? Like, things are on fire, stars will align. Every celebrity has like 19 social media managers and they're all pissed off, but the stars are gonna align, right? So we're going and we're going, stars will align. You know, I have the high bop and the clipboard and the upper lip sweat, and we're just running and we're going, and all of a sudden, the stars will align, stars will align. On my watch, this selfie goes viral and breaks the internet, and it made me realize that yes, the language that we use, the gift of gab that we unlock to bring prospects into our business and people into our lives and to unlock opportunities, those words are important, but the words that we speak to ourselves are equally as important, because you know what celebrities are also known as? I realized God has a funny sense of humor because the stars had literally aligned. Yeah. It was crazy. Now I'm telling you that story because only one big yes is all it takes. Then we were off to the races. Clients were coming on. I sold my agency. I got a book deal. All this stuff happened. I could pay my cell phone bill. I broke the generational curse of no women in my family ever having agency over their own money. Now guess who's the CEO? Me. And you know what? It's hard to do. It's hard to write new stories and break old barriers and do really scary stuff that's painful and hard. But the stars will align, and it only takes one message, because messages are not just messages. Messages are moment makers. And any message at any moment can unlock whatever version of the Oscars is what you have in your journal, what you have on your heart, what you have on your vision board. And so here's my question, Xyngular. What is going to be your moment maker for the second half of 2025? What is going to be your Oscar moment? Do me a favor, if you're comfortable, put your feet flat on the floor for a second. If you're comfortable, great. If not, don't do it. But close your eyes and just roll your shoulders up and back, out of your ears. You guys can turn it down a little bit. And just take a big deep inhale in through your nose, roll your shoulders, exhale out your mouth. I want you to inhale the future. I want you to inhale the future that you so deserve, the one that you can see. Big, deep inhale. Inhale that future. And exhale the past that you cannot change. I want you to pay attention to what comes up when I ask you this question. What is your Oscar moment for this year? What is the one breakthrough moment that is going to change the course of your business, your life, your journey, your family's life and journey? What is it? Maybe it's a to-do, it's a number, it's a goal, a mission, an objective. Maybe for you it's not a to-do, maybe it's more of a to feel. You know, I want to feel peaceful, I want to feel joyful, I want to feel safe, I want to feel successful. I want to feel like I'm the person I know I was destined to be. Call up what that is. See it, feel it, taste it, be it. Bring that feeling into your body. Now please ask yourself, what has been blocking you from that moment maker? Has it been an old story, a limiting belief? Maybe someone from your past, an authority figure that said you weren't good enough, you weren't ready, you didn't have what it took. Maybe for you, it's not a limiting belief, but it's a limiting habit. One that you know you gotta quit, the shopping, the eating, the drinking. You gotta leave it behind, you know you do. Maybe for you, what's blocking your moment maker is an old relationship. One that used to serve you really well, but you've outgrown it. It doesn't return the energy that it used to, but you're afraid to leave it behind. What is it blocking you? And I want you to take a big deep inhale in through your nose, out through your mouth, and as you exhale, release it. Release that block. Set it free. Imagine taking that one small step towards your moment maker. Step into her, step into him, and feel that soft smile on your face as you embody and receive and become that moment maker. I want you to feel a warm light of gratitude and pride that starts at your feet, works its way up your knees, up through your stomach, past your big, open, empathetic, loving heart. Feel that warm gratitude and pride and accomplishment swirling past your powerful, brilliant voice, up through your brilliant brain, and feel it come out of the crown of your head and surround you with a light of gratitude, pride, accomplishment. Feel your shoulders come down out of your ears, you're breathing slow. Receive and step into, claim this new version of you, this moment maker that's been in you all along. Smiles. Good job, me. Good job. Go ahead and open your eyes, friends. You know, the truth is, there's a lot we can't control in this crazy, crazy world. But we can control how we choose to respond to it. You know? You can choose every single time your fingers touch a keyboard what you choose to do. How you choose to be smarter, work smarter, not harder at your business. You can close that gap. You can be 34 times more persuasive, more powerful, more influential. You can make everyday moves towards that one big breakthrough that unlocks the Oscar opportunity that you have been waiting for. This method works very well. It's changed my life, and I really hope it does change yours, like it has so many people. But here's the warning. If you do lean into this, and you shift your approach to be a little more strategic, a little more thoughtful, a little more intentional, be careful. Because it works, and as the success comes, guess what? Not everyone's gonna be happy for you. Not everyone's gonna be psyched when you do the thing, when you hit the goal, when you make the level. Because every time you expand, every time you move into that bigger, better, juicier version of you, it reminds them that they actually could do the same thing. It's their excuses that are holding them back. The bigger and brighter your light shines, they're gonna want you to be less, play smaller, dim your light. And when that happens, you gotta armor up. It's not if, it's when. You gotta get ready. Don't let them stop your momentum. And when it's hard, when there's the haters and the bullies and the jerks and people online and offline, and try to get in our way and be our block, and we've set them free and moved on and stepped into that juicy, spicy, best version of us, I have a little piece of advice I'd like to share with you that served me very well in those situations from Nana. When those situations would happen, she'd say, love, when it comes to the cynics, when it comes to the jerks, people that want you to fail and fall down, just remember, it is always better to be someone's shot of whiskey than everyone's cup of tea.